The following program is intended for mature audiences.
You're going to win more often than not if you bet on stupid.
Yeah, I kiss all my kids in the mouth. Don't hate.
That's the difference of good and great. Are you freaking serious? I don't understand what that means.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg,
Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
The white and the gold sets are pretty nice. And then the purple, they added, for reasons that have never been explained, a black stripe. The black panels down the sides of the jerseys and pants. And it's strange because it's a Nike uniform unveiling, but there's no Nike speak. Like, at least nothing that directly references the design. As far as I know, the team hasn't even responded to questions as to why it happened. It's just there.
You would think that there's almost no way to screw up the Lakers if you stay with a classic styling, right?
It's like Nike can't help themselves. They can't just leave something alone.
That's what I said. Like, making a nice traditional Lakers uniform wasn't enough for them. They couldn't help it.
Well, here's the thing, though. If they were going to do the panels idea, they could run the panels on all the jerseys, and that'd still be a classic styling. It would be literally combining the Showtime era with the Kobe era.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to make the Laker jersey of all Laker jerseys, you'd have the tank top area, the classic basketball cut. You can have that, and then you still have the drop shadow. You have the Lakers word mark that's been used through the Kobe era. If Nike wanted to be consistent, it'd be fine. But the problem is, like you said, when they wanted to mess with one of them. Don't mess with the purple or the gold ones.
Right. If you want the black, keep the black from last year. Do the classic look, the purple and the gold, and the white. And there you go. We're set.
The problem I have with all of this, one, is that it's the Los Angeles Lakers. You shouldn't be messing with their uniforms. Nope. I view this in the same vein as the Montreal Canadiens or the New York Yankees. Like, this is a franchise whose identity should not be messed with. And I honestly think Nike just couldn't help themselves. Making a nice, simple Lakers jersey was just not enough for them, and they felt the need to put their touch on it, and so we got black running down the side of the purple. Now, both of you have mentioned, if you're going to mess with any one jersey, why not mess with the white, because it's the newest and the least established part of the look. I think the reason why they didn't do it with the white is because of this stupid NBA jersey system where – it's been established through members of team equipment staffs who have spoken to the media. We know this, that Nike is dictating what jerseys are to be worn at what games. And as far as Nike is concerned, purple is now at best an alternate for the Lakers, and it's white at home and it's gold on the road.
That's the thing that pisses me off the most. It's not necessarily that they mess with the purple. It's that because they've messed with the purple but kept the gold and the whites the same, you've said that, okay, one of your two primary colors is now your third option. I want to go back and go through the game logs from last year, because I honestly don't know, and I can't find anywhere that kept track of this stuff. But it has seemed that last season they wore the purple less and less. They wore the golds on the road. They wore the whites on the road because other teams are wearing whatever alternate they want to throw out there. And it would seem to me that the purple got the short end of the stick last year. Mm-hmm. And I'm extremely curious to see how often it gets played this year.
I don't like this for multiple reasons. One, I don't like that they added black to essentially basketball's equivalent of the Yankees uniforms. It would be like if you put black racing stripes down the sleeves of the Yankees jerseys just cuz. And so that pisses me off. They didn't respect the team brand enough to just make a simple purple and gold Lakers uniform. This is going to sound disparaging to fans of this team, but fuck it. If you want to mess with the New Orleans Pelicans uniforms and do stupid shit like that, go right ahead. But it's the Lakers, and I think that what Nike did, so basically said they had no respect for the aesthetic traditions of this team, and then they went ahead and went a step further and said, and now purple's going to be the alternate. And no, purple should not be the alternate for the Los Angeles Lakers. Purple should be the primary road look.
And why hasn't the NBA told Nike to just fuck right off and tell them we're going to do our jerseys the way we want to, and we don't care what you think?
The NBA apparently has let Nike do what they want because I assume they're making a lot of money off of it.
And I guarantee the NBA does not think about this in the same way that we do. I guarantee most fans don't care. They probably think, oh, cool.
I did check out the Twitter thread, and there were a lot of comments on that Twitter feed that were like, so why the black? I didn't see anyone who was like outraged at it, but people noticed and were confused by it.
Maybe not your average quote-unquote casual fan, but hardcore Laker fans are going to care about it because you're messing with, well, like the same reason we care about it. It's you're messing with a really long tradition. You did it for no good reason. And again, you know, you're talking with this new NBA where there are no more home and roads. It's just the 4 jerseys. You had an entire 4th jersey to fuck around with and put black into if you wanted to. You didn't have to do this. Sometimes it feels like they did it just like as a fuck off, we did it because we can do it. Because there was no good reason to mess up that jersey like that.
Designing a Los Angeles Lakers jersey shouldn't be hard, and it shouldn't be hard not to include black. And it honestly just, I don't think it's a fuck you from Nike so much as it is like an internal design philosophy where it's like, oh, well, like we can't just do a simple jersey. That's not forward thinking enough. So we'll change the purple one. Like, I honestly think that's what it is. It's why in 2 years' time, when the Browns finally change their uniforms, like they won't just go back to the previous look because Nike's own internal philosophies won't allow that to happen. I have a feeling that whatever the new Browns uniforms end up being, they'll look better than what they have. They will probably echo the classic uniform, but they won't be that exactly, and there will probably be something, you know, kind of stupid like this that's holding them back because in Nike's mind, oh, we can't just do it. And we saw the same thing with the Jags. Like the Jags wanted a traditional uniform, right? They had really out there uniforms that no one liked. They wanted to strip it back down, go back to basics. All you really needed to do was Google Mark Brunell Jaguars and be like, all right, like just do this again, right? But they couldn't do that, and we saw what happened because, again, I think it's less – I don't think it's as malicious as being like, fuck you, we can do what we want, as more as it is like they just have – they
can't help themselves.
They can't help themselves. They have an excess of creativity, and I know that's strange from someone who is like a fan of sports design, but at a certain point you've got to stop tinkering, and you just got to say, you know what, creativity is all well and good, but this is what we're doing.
A 10-step process with Nike always has to have 12 steps.
Funnily enough, too, I think the other thing that's kind of frustrating, and as strange as it is to say, that there is no Nike speak to all of this.
Mm-hmm. No, there's nothing.
No explanation. Not even a bullshit explanation, yeah.
I would prefer some kind of nonsense explanation other than just like, cuz.
Tell us it represents the blackness of Los Angeles's like underworld after dark or something like I don't know. It's stupid, but it's a reason.
It just looks like a last minute throw in that somebody did just because.
The purple and the gold should be mirror images of each other.
Yep.
This is kind of getting off the reservation, but this kind of brought up a good point, which is I used to be a big fan of alternate jerseys because I like jerseys. I'm into uniform aesthetics and logo aesthetics and
for the most part we all are.
I've kind of gotten to the point where it's like I kind of don't want to see them anymore because in baseball it was like 162 games, right? Like they could wear colored tops every now and then to break up the monotony, but now we get crap where it's like 2 teams will wear navy against each other.
Yeah, if Minnesota plays Cleveland, you can't tell them apart.
Or it gets to the point where like the Marlins will go an entire season without wearing their gray, uniforms, or in the NFL, right, where it's like. I like colored pants because I know, Greg, you don't necessarily agree with this, but I personally like the combination of colored pants with a white jersey. Like, I think it looks really good. I absolutely love the way that the Chicago Bears look in a white jersey and navy pants.
It wimps them up so much.
But my problem with it though is that like teams can't help themselves. Like I like the idea of like as another example, the Buffalo Bills wearing a white jersey and blue pants.
See, that doesn't look bad. I'm okay with that.
But should they really have the blue pants at all if the inevitable stupid blue like monochrome is going to happen? And it's kind of like this where it's like I agree, like the white white for Sunday home games for the Lakers was really cool. It was a really, special thing, and it was distinct in its own right. But like, if this is just going to be it, where like it eventually surpasses the team's classic look. Another example of this, talk about the late 90s, early 2000s, when the Philadelphia Flyers introduced a black alternate. And for a while, it's like, oh, that's like the Flyers' regular uniforms, but it's all black and white. It's brutal. It's like a nice change of pace. It looks good. Then they started wearing it, in the playoffs, and then it just completely replaced the orange jersey entirely. And I don't know, I'm kind of ranting, but it almost seems like teams can't be trusted because they come up with a really cool alternate. And
they absolutely can't be trusted. If I were the sports uniform czar, the first thing I would do is outlaw monochrome in any color but white in any football game, period. Not just the NFL. I'm talking from NFL all the way down to Pop Warner. No monochrome unless it's all white, because you get like teams like the Ravens who look so ridiculous with that whole black leotard thing they get going on. And, the Bills have those gorgeous uniforms and they go all monochrome blue, or the Jets look like giant pickles running around in the field. I hate all of it.
I think all of us can agree. Like, I think that what this is more similar to is something you touched on a little bit, Mike, but this is relevant to all three of us. The Angels and the Blue Jays. Would you say that the Angels and Blue Jays both wear their reds and their blues more often than they do their whites?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely.
I can't remember the last time I saw the Angels in the gray road uniforms. I honestly can't remember it.
Right. And when the red jersey came out, I loved it. It's a sharp looking jersey.
Oh, it's great.
But then they started wearing it like 6, 7, 8, 9 days in a row, and it's like, okay, but what do we actually look like? I'm not sure. In the Blue Jays, I love that Blue Jays blue. It's so crisp.
Yeah.
But you know what else is pretty damn crisp? The whites. What do you don't see as much anymore? The whites.
To me, the white look at home, like that's the look that Joe Carter hit that home run in to win them the World Series. Like, that is the definitive, in my opinion, Blue Jays look. And the blue look is really sharp, but it would be great as like an alternate, like Saturday home games or something. But like,
there are a lot of baseball teams with really nice alls. I mean, there's a lot of them in baseball, but it's just too much.
Do the Chicago White Sox even wear their gray road uniforms?
Which is a shame, because the White Sox have my all-time favorite gray uniform of all time, and I legitimately think the White Sox gray road uniform is not only one of the best road uniforms, I think it's one of the best jerseys in baseball, period.
I don't know if I'd go that far with the praise, but it's a great one. And honest to God, I don't know that I've seen them wear that. And I have, I can watch the White Sox every night if I want to, but I can't recall the last time I saw that. The Indians have a pretty nice looking gray road uniform that I can't remember the last time I saw.
Speaking of Cleveland, All-Star Game logo.
I'm not crazy about it.
I like the idea of it, but it kind of just seems too unsubstantial. It's not like a solid logo. It's just
the guitar body's made out of too many thin elements.
Well, not only that, you guys aren't from around here, so you don't know this, but do you know how many freaking things use this guitar idea for for logos and this and that kind of thing? I mean, my God, they're everywhere. So when I saw this, I'm like, oh, great, here's another one. It'll get lost in the shuffle.
It's just, it's like, I guess it's fine. I just think it's too like unsubstantial. Like, there's no real meat to the logo.
Right.
It's a bunch of like wispy shapes.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was saying. The guitar is made out of too many thin things. Like, I get it. Baseball seems, even the Cleveland font is kind of thin.
Yeah. Trying
to mount all that around the All-Star Game typeface is just, I don't know, it doesn't.
I think it's too big, too much going on.
Another problem with it is that it's wispy and it's kind of awkwardly shaped. Like,
well, it's purposely tilted like that.
Yeah, like that's why the guitar is tilted like that.
Like, of the logos in there's another alternate logo where the All-Star Game font is placed on the frets of a guitar.
Yeah,
it looks better. Yeah,
that I'm okay with. You've got to do something like a round L version of that, where it looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
You got to give it some sort of definition. Though. Yeah, but not crazy about it, especially the main one. It's like, you could have done better.
We have real sports news?
We have real sports news. Take it away, Zach.
Well, it's more of a question for you, Greg.
Oh, for me?
With the college football season upon us soon.
Yeah.
All right.
How do you feel about your commander-in-chief, Urban Meyer?
Last I'd seen, is he still on administrative leave and all that?
He's still, for now.
So what happened?
It sounds like he knew one of his coaches was beating his wife and just kind of didn't say anything or do anything about it.
Here's the thing that's weird now is that he was asked about it at Big Ten Media Days, and he said then that he had no idea what they were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He then came out a couple days later. I forget if it was in another interview or just he had to put out a statement that said, I misspoke. I did actually know about this. I did report it to Ohio State at the time, and nothing came of it. And so it sounds like, if you're going to believe that he actually went through with it. The guy that was accused of, or that was he officially charged?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, he was a wide receivers coach with Urban Meyer at Florida and at Ohio State. He was charged with domestic assaults, I believe, and was since then fired from Ohio State. The guy's wife said that she had also told Urban Meyer's wife, who is an administrator at Ohio State, and she would also be obliged to report that if she knew about it. Where we are now is Urban Meyer has been placed on administrative leave, and the coach that was fired, Zach Smith, is basically like, hey, Urban Meyer did his job. I'm fired. He told them nothing happened at the time. Nothing should happen. But we're all kind of in this weird holding pattern where no one kind of knows what to do.
My question is, if Urban Meyer knew, why didn't he tell the police?
That's my question. That's always my question. Why is it, and this is the thing with football that just drives me nuts. We saw it, the worst,
at Penn
most
State.
awful case of it was at Penn State where what was it, Mike McCreary was his name?
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw Jerry Sandusky in the showers with a little boy. Does he go to the cops? Does he stop it? No, he goes to fucking Coach Paterno.
And Paterno does nothing.
And I don't get this. Is it so ingrained in football that the command chain is coach and not the real world?
I think you know the answer to that, Greg.
I know, and that's what sickens me.
Yeah. I mean, literally, I think anybody that's ever been around a football program knows that that's just kind of what it is. The coach positions himself usually,
for Pete's sake, I know,
as the leader of the people.
It's just baffling that, Urban Meyer goes, it's like, oh yeah, I knew about this and I told my superiors at Ohio State and nothing came of it. It's like, why were you telling them and not the police? If you knew that this guy was beating his wife, why didn't you go to the police?
I agree completely. And if he knew about it and did nothing about it, he's got to go. It's as simple as that. I saw they had a rally for him today. I mean, look, only 100 people showed up, thank God, because down there, I'm more surprised that 90,000 people didn't show up, but only 100 did, so that's good. Yeah. But it's still the fact that they even had it.
It's still paid.
Yeah, because it's
still more well attended than the Save the Thrashers rally.
And of course, the irony of that, Greg, is them showing up. Imagine if this was Jim Harbaugh. Mm-hmm. Ohio State fans would say, "Oh yeah, fire him, get rid of him, boo, he's awful, what a terrible human." Oh, but Coach Meyer couldn't do that. No.
Well, I don't necessarily think that.
Who did Urban Meyer replace as coach again?
Jim Tressel, essentially, but Luke Fickell was the guy he replaced.
Oh, yeah. Right, yeah.
Tressel, yeah, okay. So, Tressel, what did he do? He looked the other way as his players traded merchandise for free tattoos. After Penn State, I can't get outraged at that.
No, if that were the case, if that's what was going on with Urban Meyer right now, he looked the other way because they sold some championship rings or got some free tattoos, I would be 100% behind everybody saying it's a witch hunt, leave him alone, because, I mean, come on. The money that university makes off that football program, they should be allowed to sell whatever the hell they want. But this, again, I don't know the facts, and I'm not trying to pull football doublespeak here, but if he knew about it, he should be fired. I'm not so sure they shouldn't just fire him because the guy's got a history of looking the other way with stuff. I mean, look at Aaron Hernandez. He's also, what I've been reading about, he's got this thing where he thinks he can fix anybody. The same thing you're talking about, Zach. I'm the coach. I can fix this. I can take care of it. I would rather go 8-5 every season than have to put up with this shit. And I don't like it a bit. And if he's guilty, he's got to go.
Well, that was going to be part of my next question, Greg, is that in a lot of these top level college programs, winning seems to be more important.
Sure.
Like what's more important, winning or having the moral high ground?
Well, look at Penn State, and here's your answer. They weren't even that fucking good, and look at the way they behaved. Until we know everything, it's hard to say, but it sure looks an awful lot like he knew this was going on and didn't do anything about it. And that's just wrong on a million different levels. The whole football coaching thing, it drives me crazy. How could he have not known about it if his wife knew about it? Did they just not talk to each other? Say we all work together somewhere, and my wife or your wife or whatever comes along and says, this is happening. She's not going to say anything? I mean, come on. Who's going to believe that? That she never said a word to Urban Meyer about it? My guess is that was the first person she went to when she found out about it.
It's funny how especially when you look at Ohio State as a whole, like we talked about Jim Tressel and what he got fired for. Now you look at what Urban Meyer's going through and what he potentially might skate through, if things go fine. Yeah. It's amazing how NCAA violations seem like they're more serious or they're like capital crimes than actual crimes.
Like okay, the Onion Sports Network had a show that parodied Pardon the Interruption back when the Penn State scandal broke, right? And so the Penn State scandal breaks, and they talk about and they talk about what, Jim Trussel's that's his name, right? The guy who and they're like, all he did was look the other way while his players traded, game memorabilia for free tattoos. Like, he was the least horrible person in the Big Ten. Why hasn't he been made Pope? And obviously it's satire, but it's like, bring back Jim Trussell. Like, what did he do that was so morally wrong when, we've got this going on?
Well, because Urban Meyer is a better coach than Jim Trussell, and the Buckeyes have been in the hunt for the national championship every year he's been there, and they've won one. But I would rather be Michigan, and with Jim Harbaugh and the insanity that is Jim Harbaugh, and go 9-3 every season than to be this. I don't want this.
You could probably go 8-5 every season and still beat Jim Harbaugh with Michigan.
Right, so exactly. Yeah. But I just don't like this. And my girlfriend and I both went to Ohio State, and we were talking about it. I mean, the program's always been big, but somewhere along the way, it got a little bigger than it could be controlled, if that makes any sense. Like, it seemed like after they won that national championship in 2002, it achieved a level it had never reached before, and now it's kind of uncomfortable. I don't care for how big the football program has gotten down there.
Well, I mean, people were saying this when the Penn State thing broke, and when we all realized the totality of what was happening at Penn State. It was something that people were saying, which I think has turned out to be true. This happened at Penn State, but this could happen anywhere else. And, this wasn't a sexual abuse situation, but it was a spousal abuse situation. And essentially the same thing happened where you had a beloved head coach who knew what was happening and who took no steps to either relieve the offending coach of his duties or call the police or do anything. I think it's a Penn State situation all over again, where football has gotten so big, it's completely trumped everything else.
If Urban Meyer's coaching Toledo, he doesn't have a job today. Mm-hmm. And Ohio State is going to do every kind of contortion they can come up with to try to find a way around this so they don't have to fire him. Because let's be honest about it, he's one of the top 5 coaches in college football. Of course you want to keep him, but you can't cross that line. You can't say this is okay because it's not. And my understanding is that the spousal abuse with this other coach went back as far as 2006. None of it looks good. None of it is right. He should have been fired the minute they found out he was beating his wife, and then somebody should have called the cops. You don't go to the coach. That freaking hierarchy in football, that mentality drives me crazy.
Zach, you said that anyone who's spent any amount of time around a football program knows that, the coach is the arbiter of right and wrong and not, the fucking police.
The coach is God.
Yeah, and it's bullshit.
At these things.
And like, to me, it just seems obvious that like football is just off in its own little world, man. Like, and not only is it off in its own little world, but it gets actively violent if you try to introduce reality to it, or like when it has to face consequences from the real world, it like reacts negatively. Like,
yeah,
it's not just oblivious; it's like actively hostile to the real world. Like I remembered.
It's got this whole "we'll take care of our own house, just leave us alone" thing going on, right?
Like who's the coach for the Carolina Panthers? What's his face? Riviera, I want to say.
Oh yeah,
Ron
right.
Rivera.
Yeah,
Ron Rivera. Okay, so back during the NFL season from hell, where it seemed we were just 1 week away from Tom Brady or Peyton Manning being arrested for running like a cockfighting ring out of their basement. During that season, I forget who it was, but there was some player on.
I'm so disappointed that didn't happen. By the way,
yeah, I know. Like, come on, like just Adrian Peterson beats his kid. How could it get any worse? It's like Tom Brady arrested for running cockfighting out of his basement or something. Like, come on. But some player on the Panthers, I can't remember who, was under. He was currently going through the justice system. He was currently awaiting a court hearing for hitting his girlfriend. And at first the Panthers, they didn't bench him, and then they put him on like the commissioner's list, which was like essentially a paid suspension.
Right. That was that thing that we thought they'd made up that week just to find a way to keep the guy. Yeah.
Yeah. But the reason I bring the story up is because the Panthers coach was asked about it. Like, they were asking, like, well, the Panthers are saying now that they've done this, that they've taken him off active duty because they don't condone this behavior. Well, if the Panthers don't condone this behavior, why were you even playing him? Why was he even, stated to be first place? And the coach for the Panthers responded angrily. He snapped at the reporters like, look, we're trying to do our best here. It's like, and you know what? We made a mistake, but we're trying to do our best. And it's like, he was actively angry that someone else was like implying that he didn't know how to be an arbiter of morality. Yep. And it's just like, dude, you're a football coach. You're not fucking God. You're a football coach. When it comes to issues that, when it comes to actual crimes your players committed, maybe step the fuck aside and let the justice system do its job.
That's the thing, though. They think they can handle all this stuff internally. They don't need the outside world. They don't want the outside world. It's ridiculous.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but football exists in the outside world, and sometimes you.
I just found an article from ABC News that says that this former assistant coach said that Urban Meyer did know about the allegations that he'd abused his wife in 2015.
Oh, shit.
He said, what the hell's going on? What is this? What is this? And I told him, I laid it all out for him. This is Zach Smith talking. Apparently, my ex-wife is trying to get me charged with domestic abuse. And Zach Smith said, Meyer said to him, he looked at me and said, I swear to God, Zach, if I find you, hit her, you're done, you're fired. Okay, that's the proper response. All right, so then what?
Again, that's what Urban Meyer is saying, that he walked it back and said that, actually I did know and I did tell Ohio State.
Then why did you say you didn't know the first time?
And again, if you knew, why did you tell Ohio State? Why didn't you tell the police? That's my thing. Like, it's like, I told my superiors at Ohio State University. Why didn't you call the police and say, hey, this guy I work with admitted to me that he was beating his wife?
If any one of us, let's say that our house was broken into, and any one of us said, okay, the house was broken into, we've been robbed, I better go tell my boss. Everyone, all three of us, our bosses are going to go, what in the hell are you doing? Call the police. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not football. Never in football. My girlfriend has this great saying. She says, you can never get caught telling the truth. The whole thing is just a disaster. And how do you walk back? I didn't know. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, I did know. That's not misspeaking. That's, I lied. You could say you misspoke all you want, but no, what you did, Urban, is you lied. You said you didn't know about something that you knew about. That's a lie. And at that point, if I know you're going to lie about that, I can't trust you with anything now. I can't. How am I supposed to know if you're ever telling the truth now? I don't see how he survives this. I don't know that he should. And,
Well, apparently the university is putting together a 6-member special committee to review the situation.
Right. And supposedly they're going to be super transparent about the investigation.
Right.
I'm sure they will.
They're going to be as transparent as the wall of my house.
And then from a football standpoint, Urban Meyer hasn't been there for the first few days of camp. And they open up against Oregon State on September 1st.
Well, you know what? Life's going to have to go on, and I'm sorry, but I don't know. I hate this. It's funny. It's like over the past few years, I found myself slowly but surely drifting towards my Toledo Rockets as like the more important team in my life, just because I'm so sick of this shit. I don't want to root for a team that's like this. I just don't. Maybe it was always there and I never noticed it before, but it just seems like football got way more important than it should be, and I don't like that. It's no fun for me. I love college football, but not this kind of shit. Somebody, I forget where I saw it, they brought it up, is this Ohio State's Penn State moment? I said, no. As bad as this is, nothing will ever top Penn State, because that was just the most vile, awful thing.
And now there's court case testimony, as all this stuff works through the courts, that maybe Paterno knew about this as far back as the 70s with Sandusky, and it's like, oh God, the Penn State thing is just an utter dumpster fire.
I've said it a million times on the show. I'll say it again. Football is a sport best viewed from far away. You don't want to get too close to it because it's just nasty. I hate the mentality that the law's been broken, I better call coach. No, you fuck nut. You call the police, idiots. We must talk about the Ray Lewis Hall of Fame speech.
I kiss my kids on the mouth.
I kiss my kids in the mouth.
Yeah, I kiss all my kids in the mouth. Don't hate.
I killed 2 brothers and I'm still here.
Yeah.
Shit.
God. See, that was the thing. It was just like, it's probably this whole speech of talking about love and dedication and love and being good. Mm-hmm. Nowhere was it ever mentioned that he was accused of murder.
Not right. He probably did murder those people, in all likelihood.
I just love the fact.
It's all love. It's all love, man. Baltimore.
He got up there. Everybody else just stood at the podium and talked into the mic. He had a headset.
Even Brian Dawkins, who was like energetic in his speech and just pounding the podium, stayed behind the podium.
Not Ray, baby. No. Ray's got to get a headset.
That's the difference of good and great.
And a towel, and off we go.
What was the towel? I don't understand.
If you watch the full 32 minutes, he works up a sweat.
Yeah.
Oh.
If you see him in some of the post-ceremony interviews, his jacket has these large color changes.
That's what I'm trying to tell you about.
Amazing. Amazing. Oh, Ray Lewis.
He can't do nothing else.
What a guy. What a guy.
I was saying that, he turned into a street preacher after every game during his final season, that season where they ended up winning the Super Bowl. It's nice to see he hasn't moved on from that. He's still going all in.
The other thing that we learned, because you mentioned his street preacherness, his stupid dance he did before every game?
Yeah.
Did you know that dance had a meaning?
This is the National Football League.
No.
Oh, what was it? Some sort of interpretive thing? I'm sorry.
Well, when you when you do the sign of the cross, if you're Catholic or Christian,
right?
So his thing was you go to the right for the Father, the left for the Son, and you go to the middle for the Holy Ghost.
That's what I'm trying to tell you about.
Oh, hey.
And so it was just like his way of doing a little pregame prayer. I don't think he ever said why he had to, rip the grass or whatever, or eat the grass. Did he have to eat the grass?
Well, he had antlers. I'm sure it was just a natural reaction.
Do you remember that when the Ravens changed to a turf field, he brought out like a little square of grass with him for that dance before every game?
God.
When you do your job.
I don't know. The thing about Ray Lewis, and there's no denying he was a great player. There's no question about it. But what a flaming douchebag this guy is. I'm sorry.
It's wacko.
I'm not sure maybe he made those speeches all the time. I mean, one of the things I loved about Joe Flacco was that he goes, I used to just tune out. I couldn't listen to him anymore.
I don't understand what that means.
Which I thought was great. I mean, Joe Flacco is not interesting in any way, shape, or form except for that. But he came around and said, because they asked him about it, and he's like, yeah, I just stopped listening after a while because they were ridiculous. And I knew we were going to get some version of this for his Hall of Fame speech, but I didn't think we'd get full Ray. But we did. We got full Ray for, 32 minutes?
That's the difference of good and great.
Did you know that he was best friends with Michael Phelps?
I did not know that.
Because Michael Phelps was there, and he's like, you know what? Hey, Michael, we over at my house all the time. What we say, man? What we say? We do anything for the city. We do anything for the city. Baltimore. We do anything for the city. Baltimore. And Michael Phelps just starts, crying.
Yeah, he's like,
I didn't know Michael Phelps was even from Baltimore. Look at that.
Yeah, he's at least from Maryland. I think he's from the Baltimore area.
I don't know.
According to Wikipedia, he was born in Baltimore.
Well, there you go. But let's just Ray Lewis.
We'd do anything for Baltimore, even kill for Baltimore.
I killed 2 brothers, and here I am. I'm still here. Shows you can be anything in America. You can get away with murder, literally.
My God.
Oh,
Literally,
Ray.
yeah, literally.
Is he still
kiss my kids on the mouth.
Yeah, I kiss my kids on the mouth. What was it? Don't hate. I kiss my kids on the mouth. It's like, dude, that's gross. It's just, and they show a shot of his kids. His kids are like 16.
Yeah, and all of his kids are kind of like shaking their head like, Dad, no, please don't.
Yeah.
No, Dad, please stop.
Oh, great. Now they know that about us, too. It's bad enough that everybody thinks my dad's a psycho, and now they know this.
Now you got to go to school the next day. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
Oh,
God.
I mean, the rest of them were pretty okay. Brian Dawkins was actually really good. His speech was very inspirational, I guess.
I mean, I get that it's their Hall of Fame induction, and sure, it is all about them in that moment, but somehow Ray Lewis took a moment that was all about him and made it all about him, if that makes any sense. Like, it was like, dude, I don't know how you do that, but he did it. But he just cracks me up. When I saw him go to that headset, and I thought, oh, my God, here we go. And off he went. He's Ray Lewis. Well, you just can't beat that for any amount of money for entertainment value.
Did you see any of Terrell Owens's?
No, what was all that all about? Why wouldn't he go to Canton? I mean, other than the obvious reasons that, it's Canton, but I mean, short of that, why not show up?
The obvious reasons are the obvious reasons. His whole thing was like that, he was disrespected by the NFL over his years, and he never felt welcome in the NFL. And
maybe he quit acting like an asshole.
Ostracized.
Yeah, well,
exactly.
I mean, that's kind of your own fault, T.O. Another guy who was a great player, but just a complete total asshole. Who else got in this year? I was going to see if they made my.
Here, I can go back. Brian Dawkins of Philadelphia Eagles fame.
Yeah, I'd say yeah with him.
Randy Moss.
Definitely.
Brian Urlacher.
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah. See, the thing, it's some of these football Hall of Famers are hard. Because, like, with Urlacher, it's like his teams never did anything.
Yeah. Well, they made one Super Bowl, right?
Good.
I mean,
they went to the Super Bowl once, yeah.
With the Rex Grossman team, yeah.
Yeah.
Jerry Kramer. Indictment.
Who?
Jerry Kramer.
Oh, he's the offensive lineman for the 60s Packers teams. I'm sorry, but if no one thought he was a Hall of Famer back then, what changed?
I think, don't they have like the Veterans Committee?
Yeah,
now?
they do.
Robert Zill.
Oh, linebacker for the Oilers. I would say, yeah, Robert. He was the guy that, kind of like Urlacher, kind of toiled away for bad teams, but he was a hell of a good player.
Yeah, and I think, and then T.O.
Yeah, I think. I mean, again, T.O.'s not exactly the greatest personality, but a hell of a player.
Yeah, but I mean, Ray Lewis, I think, is obvious. Randy Moss, I think, is obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, it's a pretty good class. Urlacher, Moss, Lewis.
What do you guys think about that thing, though, that they always have to induct at least 7 players? Don't you think that always means
that waters it down?
That's the problem. Like hell, I wouldn't even say you have to have. Like, you can have years where no one is like, if there's a year where there are no good candidates, there are no good candidates.
It's happened in baseball a couple times where there just wasn't a guy. The Baseball Hall of Fame thing too. There's a couple of guys that made it that I thought shouldn't have, but okay,
right,
whatever. But yeah, I mean, with Ray Lewis again, and setting aside his Rayness, guy is probably one of the greatest linebackers to ever play that I've seen. I mean, he was a fantastic player. There's no question about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that Ravens defense in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, they were really good, and Ray was a really, really good player. Even, I think he might have played a year or two too long, because towards the end he was kind of coasting on his reputation, but still, the guy was fantastic. No question about it. T.O., I always just wondered, like, how good could he have been if he had focused and worried more about being a good football player than being T.O., because he was pretty good the way he was.
Mm-hmm. He, strangely enough, I mean, beyond wanting the Patriots to lose, I wanted the Eagles to win because it would have been incredible for him to have broken his leg mid-season, played in the Super Bowl, and like made some sort of big contribution and won.
Yeah.
And then Donovan McNabb threw up because of the pressure.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But like
one of these days we gotta see if Bring Back the Vet will come on to rant about Donovan McNabb, because that's always
if
fun.
you guys remember that game, I mean, my God, it was like, dude, let's see a little bit of urgency here. You know, I mean, all you've done so far is throw up and waste a bunch of time.
It was the Super Bowl, and Andy Reided hard.
Yeah, well, yeah. But Randy Moss, I think, was, you know, I mean, I'd put him like one of the top 5 all time. I mean, that guy was an incredible player. And who was the other one? Robert Brazile?
Yeah.
He's probably a Veterans Committee vote, too, I'm guessing, because he played in the 70s, but he was a good player. Interesting thing about him is I think it's his sister. I want to say her name's Donna. Became a bigwig in the Democratic Party. She's like on TV all the time and stuff. That's pretty cool. So, yeah. But, he was on those Oilers teams that were pretty bad in the 70s, but he was a hell of a good player. But 7, I think that 7, though, is that you've got to be more like, let's put them in on merit, and not because we just have to have this many every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then again, though, you get guys that have been overlooked. I think Andre Reed finally got in, but there's a couple receivers out there that should be in that aren't yet, which I don't understand. So.
Receivers always have a really tough time getting into Hall of Fame.
I don't get that.
I think part of it might just be you can have a guy that's an okay receiver, but if you play, like, take a Julian Edelman, for instance, right?
Yeah.
If he wasn't playing with Tom Brady, you wouldn't know who the hell he was.
No.
And, you know, I don't know what his numbers are, but he's a guy that, like, at the end of his career, you could be like, well, look at those numbers. He compares to this guy and this guy. He could be a Hall of Famer, but it's but then you say, well, but look who he played for and who his quarterback was.
Shut your mouth. Like Julian Edelman is a Jewish sports hero. He's the only Jewish sports hero currently, but never mind that.
That's not true.
Gotta be more.
No, I mean, there are other Jews in pro sports currently, but I don't think anyone's like as famous or as impactful. Yeah.
Who else?
LeBron.
Did you LeBron?
LeBron, yeah.
LeBron.
No,
James.
who am I thinking of? Paul Goldschmidt of the Arizona Diamondbacks, like the best first baseman in baseball.
But isn't that kind of like being the prettiest waitress at Denny's?
Well, yeah, I mean, I know Diamondbacks are pretty good this year, but no, Paul Goldschmidt's a hell of a good player, but he's not even the guy I was thinking of. There's somebody else, but I can't think of who it is. Let's get a list, Zach. Who we got?
I'm trying to find a current one.
I mean, look, Team Israel had a pretty decent run in the little baseball.
They did.
This list is from 2017.
And let's not forget, Mensch on the bench won the GTOV.
And it catapulted the Mensch on the bench to the GTOV championship.
Right, exactly. Then you have like Sandy Koufax. I mean, probably the.
Well, you got Sandy Koufax, Hank Greenberg.
I was going to say, of those two, I think probably Koufax. God damn, was that guy good?
Well, Sandy Koufax, he refused to pitch during the World Series because it coincided with Yom Kippur one year.
Yeah, and of course people lost their minds over it. You know,
I'm sure they did.
Josh Rosen.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, we don't know if he's going to be a good NFL player yet, but pretty good college player.
Diego Schwartzman is a tennis player.
All right, I'm talking like real sports, not tennis.
Oh God.
Ian Kinsler.
Ian Kinsler's Jewish? No kidding.
According to this,
I did not know that. Wow, that's interesting. So let me ask you, Mike, if a player is Jewish, does that, like, do you become more of a fan because of that, or does it matter to you at all that much?
I mean, no, not really. It's more of a cool thing. Like, I didn't become a Patriots fan when I found out that Julian Edelman was Jewish. I was just like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because, like, we tend to not have a lot of representation in pro sports. So when we do, it's kind of cool, you know?
Every list that I find is always like Sandy Koufax. Sandy Koufax.
I mean, Sandy Koufax. I remember one year when I was playing for the history department's softball team one year during summer softball league when I was in university, and we got jerseys, and the guy who ordered the jerseys got mine customized with Koufax on the back because he's like, it's baseball and you're Jewish.
That reminds me of that Monty Python skit where they had like the philosophers playing soccer against I forget who, but it was fucking hysterical.
So
the history department softball team.
Not to get into too much detail on our season, but we did not do well.
Well, it's because you was like, okay, what's our strategy? Well, how did they do it in 1874?
We lost. Keynesiology kicked our asses. So.
There you go. So, in the one that comes up the most is baseball.
Right.
Hold on, I'm getting an ad from somewhere that I can't.
Let me think of
Ryan Braun.
Right. Paul Goldschmidt. Right.
Ian Kinsler. Jock Peterson of the Dodgers.
No kidding. Okay.
Alex Bregman of the Astros.
Good player. Great player, actually.
Danny Valencia.
Danny Valencia is Jewish.
According to this.
All right, that Valencia is just not a name that you associate.
Now, you know who else? You know who's Jewish in the NHL?
No.
Josh Ho-Sang.
Really?
He is
right. He's the guy that got all the crap for wearing number 66.
Yeah.
Like a couple years ago.
Yeah, because he chose 66. People were like, that's Lemieux's number, but
well, he wasn't wearing it with the Penguins, right?
No, Islanders.
Who gives a shit?
So basically the way okay. So his mother is Jewish from Chile.
Okay, that's another one you don't hear a lot of.
And his father is half black and half Chinese from Jamaica.
Well, no, that's a pretty interesting mix, I gotta say.
So he's got he's part Chilean Jewish, part black Jamaican, and part Chinese.
Wow.
So yeah. That's that interesting combination, but when he was called up to the Islanders, he chose 66, and some people freaked the fuck out over it because Lemieux's number is sacrosanct, even though it's not like they retired it league wide like Gretzky's.
Well, not only that, but did he pick it for a particular reason or just because he liked it?
He said specifically he wanted he's like Mario Lemieux was one of my favorites growing up, and I wanted to honor him. And I wanted to honor him.
I didn't know if there was like a religious connotation to it or anything like that.
No.
Yeah, I mean, look, Lemieux was great.
Do you remember Taylor Mays?
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does.
Linebacker with the Bengals for a while.
Like Mike said, familiar name, but I don't know. Back to with Lemieux, though. I mean, he was a great player, but I don't. I mean, and as good as he was, I don't know that I put him on the same level as Gretzky in that respect.
I mean, he's not.
I mean, and that's not taking a thing away from Mario Lemieux. He's God, but I just Gretzky. That's like comparing like Jordan and Kobe. I mean, Kobe's a great player, but there's Michael Jordan. It's a different level, and I think Gretzky achieved that level that Lemieux didn't get to. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, we're of course retire it in Pittsburgh, obviously, but anywhere else, I think it's fair game.
I've learned, guys, that there are many more Jewish websites than I could have ever anticipated, and they're giving me hints on who to watch at the Winter Olympics.
Okay,
from earlier in the year, but.
Oh, no one. Israel always sucks at the Winter Olympics. I mean, come on, it's Israel. What are you gonna?
Yeah, well, it's not like you have a lot of places to practice over there or anything.
Let's see, are there any going into? This is from August 7th of 2018, which is today.
Oh.
So let's see. Josh Rosen already named.
So this guy you wouldn't even know it. Mike Camilleri.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and Mike, as I Google this, your earlier note on Julian Edelman.
Yeah.
According to the website Kaplan's Corner, spelled with a K, Julian Edelman is still not considered Jewish by the powers that be.
How's that?
I don't know. It's just what he says.
Oh, it's because his father is probably Jewish and his mother wasn't.
I was going to ask about that. This girl I used to date, I don't know why, but she was just fascinated with all things Jewish. And I never understood. I mean, I fine, okay, great. I don't, she was Catholic, so I didn't get it. But she used to say that's how it worked. That for it to be like it comes down through the mother, not the father, right? Like the
yes,
right, okay,
yes.
So that's true then.
Yes,
okay.
But there's Julian Edelman praying at the Western Wall in Jerusalem. So as far as I'm concerned,
I'm gonna go ahead and give him the nod. I think, yeah.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you put your time in.
Ali Marpet is an offensive lineman for the Buccaneers.
Wow.
Oh well, I just feel sorry for him, Len, because that team's just fucking.
If nothing else, you got to wear those stupid uniforms.
Let's see.
And
David, the new owner of the Carolina Panthers, became the 9th current Jewish NFL owner.
Okay.
So did he buy the team after Jerry Richardson was forced to sell for harassing his female employees?
Oh my God, that's like so like old school harassment. That's like back before.
Do you think you can name the 9 Jewish NFL owners, Mike?
Glazier in Tampa is.
Yep.
Because the synagogue I go to is actually the synagogue that Glazer family supposedly goes to, although I have never seen them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Glazers for Tampa. They are so Glazier, whoever owns the Panthers. So that's 2.
David Tepper.
David Tepper. All right. Let's see.
There's a couple that seem pretty easy, and then there's some that aren't.
I don't know NFL owners.
Me either.
Kraft's Jewish?
No kidding.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Well, I'd had him straight up for like a total wasp. Come on.
Jeffrey Lurie of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, yeah. I think I knew that.
Stephen Ross of the Dolphins.
I didn't even know Stephen Ross owned the Dolphins.
Daniel Snyder of the Redskins.
Oh, I did know that, yes, and it's embarrassing.
Stephen Tisch of the Giants.
Who?
Stephen Tisch.
Okay.
I thought the Maras owned the Giants.
Yeah.
Tisch, well, it's like family names pass through. Like,
okay.
Oh, okay.
It's the Tisches and the Maras, and they've married and that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Ziggy Wilf of the Vikings.
Okay, I think I knew that. Yeah.
And then the one that doesn't strike me as such, Arthur Blank of your Atlanta Falcons.
Arthur Blank. See, Blank and Kraft just seem really waspy.
Yeah, right.
Like I would not have. No, I would not.
If you look at Arthur Blank, I mean, you almost get like an Italian vibe from him. Like anything but okay. Well,
right.
So more power to him.
Here's the Jews that participated in the National Hockey League in 2017-18. You mentioned Josh Hosang already. You mentioned Michael Camilleri. We've got Jason Zucker of the Minnesota Wild.
That's just unfortunate.
Brandon Leipzig of the Vancouver Canucks.
He's Jewish?
Yeah, sure. Jacob Chichurin of the Arizona Coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Demers of the Arizona Coyotes.
Demers that is not a Jewish name.
Not so much, no.
That's like South African Dutch or something. That's not Jewish.
There is a Jew on your Toronto Maple Leafs, Mike.
Oh, who?
Zach Hyman.
Really?
According to this.
I mean, okay, so the thing about Jewish names is that, like, a lot of Jewish names could also just be Eastern European, so it kind of gets hard.
Right.
Well, speaking of Eastern European, there was a Stanley Cup champion Jew this year, Mike.
Oh.
He's Russian. Andrei Burakovsky.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course, Gary Bettman.
Oh, like Dan Schneider, we just won't talk about that. We will.
Well, we're on the subject, and this is off topic, but I was thinking about this the other day, Mike. But do you go to Temple regularly, or is that like a?
I go 3 times a year.
Okay, so I didn't know.
No, I don't go every Friday evening and Saturday morning because it's actually funny. When I first went to university, moved out to go to university, I told myself I was actually going to be like. Because I was kind of going through a religious phase during my last year of high school. I was kind of like really embracing my faith. And my parents aren't particularly observant. And so I told myself, okay, I'm moving out on my own. I'm going to go to temple more regularly. And the first Saturday morning that after I moved out, I had my alarm clock set to 7 because services started at 8, and my alarm clock rang, and I looked up, and I was like, nope, and I fell back asleep. Woke up at 10, and that dream died. But like, so no, I go for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, which are the 2 big ones. They're basically like Christmas and Easter if you're a Christian, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's plenty of us Christmas and Easter Christians.
Yeah.
So I go for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and then I also go in August for it jumps around because it's whatever the closest day is in August to the day my grandfather died, because that's what's called a yurt site, which is you go to temple the closest day that's the anniversary of a loved one's death.
Okay.
And there's nothing special about the service. It's just a regular Friday night service, but you do it to honor someone who you're close to.
That's cool.
So those are the 3 times I go per year.
As I'm reading through this list, by the way, Mike.
Yes.
This guy's website keeps going on. He keeps updating it. Mm-hmm. So I've gone back to where they first introduced Burakovsky into the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
It says his connection with Judaism has been an issue over the last couple of years. He claims he's not Jewish, but the Jewish Sports Review stands by their quote-unquote ruling that he is based on their qualifications. So then I clicked on the Jewish Sports Review. Apparently it's a bi-monthly or every other month.
Oh, who are we talking about here? Edelman still?
No, Burakovsky.
Andre Burakovsky of the Capitals. Did you know of the Jewish Sports Review, Mike?
No, I had no idea.
Would you like to order? They have issues every other month.
Zach selling the magazines here on the show.
If you order the current issue, you could get the college baseball All-America team. Jewish college baseball players.
I mean, look, this can be self-deprecating, but like the Jewish Sports Review, there's not enough material there for a monthly magazine. I'm sorry, there's just not.
Well, that's why they do it every other month.
I still think even then you're going to be stretching for content.
Well, these are the themes of the last few issues. There's a college baseball All-America team.
Okay.
The professional baseball preview, the Winter Olympics, the professional hockey preview, which came out in January.
Oh, we there's a player on the baseball list we forgot to. Well, I don't know if he's not on it or why he's not, but Jason Kipnis of my Cleveland Indians identifies as Jewish.
Okay.
Due to his father's ancestry, though, he's a practicing Roman Catholic, so that's interesting. I'm Jewish,
I mean,
but I'm
why
Catholic.
why would you do 2? That's just more rules you have to follow,
right? But yeah, I think he's probably Catholic on his mom's side and Jewish on his dad's side. So he was up to bat in the Indians game, and I thought about it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's Jewish, but he is, but not really.
I mean, that is a common thing, Catholics and Jews getting together. I mean, there's a lot of cultural similarity. We're both big on guilt.
Correct.
So, there's a lot of cultural crossover there that works out.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
But yeah, it like I said, it's just kind of an interesting thing. I kind of just go like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I just found it. Well, I found the reason why I found the Edelman thing particularly funny is, as I said, I shared that there's that picture in the chat of Edelman on the praying at the Western Wall. That was taken actually right before the season where the Patriots won that Super Bowl against Atlanta, where he made that insane catch
Oh, hey.
And so it's like he prayed for a miracle, and well, there you go.
Gabe Kapler.
No.
He's the manager of the Phillies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to be confused with Gabe Kaplan from Welcome Back Kotter fame. Anyway, so we got anything else, boys, or should we call it a night?
Yeah, we're still kind of.
We haven't done a good list in a while, so that was fun.
We haven't done a good list, and we're still in the middle of summer, so. Give us a week or two, and we'll have NFL stuff to talk about again.
Here's in addition to the miscellaneous file, Mike.
Oh.
Goldberg.
Oh, yeah. Goldberg, the wrestler, probably the main reason I was a WCW fan. Goldberg is the exception where I did become a fan of his because he was Jewish. Because, again, Jews, as far as stereotypes go, were not really known as ass kickers, and Goldberg was an ass kicker, so that was I became a fan of his. I
don't know if I'd go so. I mean, I don't know the what's that the Israeli group
Mossad.
What's it called?
Mossad.
The guys that the movie Munich was based on.
Yeah, the Mossad.
They're pretty ass kicking, so I don't know that stereotype's necessarily true. Those are some bad dudes in that movie.
You don't fuck off. Don't piss off the Mossad.
Apparently
they know how to get you. But
them brothers hold a grudge, man. They weren't messing around.
No.
But, anyway.
Goldberg. I'm a huge fan of his. In fact, he came back to the WWF about a year and a half ago, and it was fun times. Fun times.
All right, well, then we're going to, on that note, we will call it a night. Oh, I had one more question. Real quick, I know Zach and I did. Mike, did you watch any of the Hall of Fame game from the NFL?
No, I didn't.
Not even a little bit, huh? Okay.
It wasn't out of malice. It wasn't like I was like, no, I'm not watching the NFL. I honestly just forgot.
So join the club. Normally I get kind of excited, hey, this is the first game of the year. I know it's the first preseason game and it really doesn't matter, but it's like, hey, there's live NFL football on my TV.
You just got to take a look, if nothing else.
I had literally no idea that it was on.
So you didn't see any of it?
I didn't see a bit of it.
Oh, wow.
I still haven't.
My girlfriend reminded me that it was on. I had no idea because I said something about there's no good baseball games. And she goes, well, there's football. And I went, oh, that's right. And I watched about 30 seconds.
I can't even tell you who was playing. I looked up. I just looked it up. Bears Ravens.
Yeah.
The Chicago Tribune has the story, which is hilarious. So you know how people are saying, "Oh, the NFL's dying," like blah, 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 blah. The Chicago Tribune has this. NFL, this is their headline, NFL dying hardly, meaningless Bears-Ravens scrub show outdraws the NHL's decisive Stanley Cup game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everyone's saying, oh, the NFL's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Right?
So you're telling me the Hall of Fame game
outdrew Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals, yeah.
Just in Chicago or nationally?
National.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a bit surprised. No, no, dude. That you know how football is.
I know,
they probably
but
outdrew the World Series too, so don't feel bad. Come on.
That's man.
And I love how the Chicago Tribune called it meaningless scrub show.
That's what it was.
That's what it is.
But we've talked about this before. Like the goddamn Pro Bowl, everyone agrees the Pro Bowl should be canceled, but it's still around because people watch it.
Yeah.
That's the. If it was I'm pretty sure even the NFL would agree it's pointless, but it generates ad revenue, so.
Well, all the preseason games get started in earnest this week. My Cleveland Browns take on the Giants. Let's see.
I'm
Rams at Ravens.
The Cleveland Browns go for another perfect preseason record.
I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit of Baker Mayfield in that game, so I'm going to watch a little bit of it.
I'm semi-unofficially on the Jets beat because I'm following every waking breath of Sam Darnold.
Right. Well, they've got the Falcons at home.
Yeah, on Friday.
Let's see, Mike, your San Diego via Los Angeles Chargers of Costa Mesa. I was going to correct
you about that. Fight for Costa Mesa.
Right. You're at the Cardinals. Oh, that's a 10 o'clock game on Saturday night.
Oh, the Mike Bowl. Nice. Cardinals, Chargers, Mike Bowl. Woo!
And my Packers play the Titans at home. I'll get
you know
look
what?
at the new
I think
Titans
I'll watch
uniforms.
it. Like, you know what? It's fucking preseason. It doesn't matter. Who cares? But I'm gonna watch some Chargers Cardinals. Like, you know, that could be a bit fun at least.
Yeah, we will all watch more preseason football than we care to admit.
Now, is it in Arizona or is it in LA?
It is in Arizona.
Okay, good. There might actually be a decent turnout, Len.
Yeah. So, all right, folks. On that note, we're going to wrap it up. Until next time, remember you can subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and the YouTubes. Find us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. We'll see you next time.
Next time.
Adios.